Hello, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. My name is Laura Perez from Marketing KUKA team, and I am thrilled to be your host today. We have an exciting session lined up for you. But before we get started, let's go over a few housekeeping items. First of all, this webinar is being recorded, and we will share the recording with you afterward. If you have any questions during the presentation, please type them into the Q&A box, and we will address them during the Q&A session at the end. And now it's my pleasure to introduce our speaker for today, Michael Chafe. Michael has been part of the robotics industry since 1991. Joining the ranks of KUKA in 1999 as a senior sales application engineer. In his current role, he specialized in general industry applications, including palletizing, assembly, handling, and trimming. Additionally, he has a particular focus on the use of industrial robots in medical devices. He takes great pleasure in collaborating with KUKA partners to develop practical solutions for complex challenges, ensuring the satisfaction of our clients and meeting their specific needs. So we are honored to have him with us today. Welcome, Michael.
Thank you, Laura. Appreciate that. Hello and good day to everybody out there. Thank you for joining. As Laura said, this webinar is on Xpert and how it can help you. So we'll get started here. So what is Xpert? Xpert is a database of KUKA information. So it's got a lot of information to help you with tasks related to KUKA products. And this webinar should help you be able to use that front end of that database to find the information you need efficiently. So what types of information are there? There's some KUKA news. This is just technical stuff. It's not like marketing stuff. It's just, you know, new software release or new type of information available in Xpert. That's the type of news that you'll find in Xpert. The biggest thing is going to be the product information. And there's quite a lot there, including CAD, the standard documentation we have, data sheets, spare parts, work instructions for doing service, electrical drawings, other webinars, and the such. And then another big part of the Xpert database is for troubleshooting. So we have a solution database. It's used for cause remedy type thing. So who is this information useful to? So several different people. So cell designers, mechanical engineers that are doing cell layout. They might need CAD data for the robots. They might need data sheets. They might need, reach and payload information. They can get that from Xpert. Engineering, so anybody that's doing the integration of the robot. Like I said, there's documentation in here. So, tips on programming, reference manuals, documentation on option packages, whether it be software and hardware, things of that nature. And then finally, maintenance personnel can use Xpert because it has, the robot list. It has the spare parts for each, each robot, each controller, each positioner, whatever the hardware is. Like I said, work instructions to be able to swap those components. And we'll cover a lot of topics in this webinar today. And I will be switching back and forth between the presentation and the, the live Xpert webpage. So I actually won't be showing every slide in the presentation today, but the information is in the slides for reference. So to get to the homepage, xpert.kuka.com. So this is a web-based interface to the database. And the first thing it'll do is it'll bring in a login screen. So it does require an account, a my.kuka account. And if you don't have one yet, you can create one. So there's a link down at the bottom, so you can create an account. And it will only ask for a valid email address and that you read and accept the terms and conditions of using the site. One note, if you have a domain of a generic email like Gmail, it does take a little bit of time for us to register that account because we want to make sure that these are not automated registerings, not computers. So we want to make sure that it's a real human registering. So if you have a company specific domain for your email, it should register very quickly. And then that said, there are two types of accounts for Xpert, a basic and a pro. So the basic is free. So all you need is that my.kuka account, and you get the access to the product information, spare parts, specs, documentation, and CAD data. So you get direct access to all that. We do have a pro account, and that is subscription based. So there's an annual fee and it's per user. It is possible to transfer that license from one user to another. So like, if you have somebody in your group that changes roles and no longer needs Xpert, but somebody else does, you can transfer that license. But with the pro version, you get additional access for the solution or case database, for the cause remedy type stuff, the service work instructions, system variables, some code downloads. And you can try out the pro version for free. There's a 90-day free trial, so you can try it out. If it's useful and valuable to you, maybe it's something you want to subscribe to. If it's not, and the basic is enough, that's great too. So once you have an account, you can log in, and you'll get to the Xpert homepage. And the homepage is a simple tile-based UI. So 7 tiles: search, news, bookmarks, save searches, KUKA College, my KUKA, and history. So the simple ones: KUKA College. This is just a link to our college site, which is our official training department. And there you can find, globally offered classes that you could register for if you wanted to. There are also some free e-learnings up there, so those may be of interest. The second easy one is the my.kuka. So this is our KUKA's online marketplace. It also has product information, a lot of overlap with Xpert, and they're actually pretty tightly linked. And you can also do asset management there. I'll comment on that later. The other tile at the bottom is a history. So it just keeps a history of the articles within Xpert that you've accessed, within your recent past. So if you need to get back to something quickly, you can. The other 4 tiles at the top are really just for searching, and we'll go into more depth there. The news tile, like I said before, it's just for technical news. So if a new software version of it is available, there's a notification there. And even if you don't go to the news, you just try to do a regular search, it's going to pop up this notification window that says, hey, we've got new information for you. And you can stop that from coming up if you just visit each of these articles, and then it won't come up when you search until there's new news. Okay. All right, so when you click on the search tile, so I'm going to switch over here to the Xpert Live. So if you click on the search tile, it brings up the search window, and you've got some buttons along the left. And you can get some text for those if you want. But if you're new to Xpert, one of the first things you're going to want to do is you're going to want to set your language. So there's a user profile icon down here. If you click that and go to the settings, so you can pick the language that you want the Xpert website to present in. So this isn't necessarily search results, but it's the framework. So again, pick the language that suits you best. For me, that happens to be English. The only other settings you can make for expert are the metadata fields, and there's a few that you could add here, but the ones that are default are the most useful, the information type, modification date, and languages. And this shows up in your search results. So if you do a search, that information type shows up here for this example, product information. So this is how KUKA, categorizes that information, when the information was posted or modified and what language it's in. Okay, so once you've set your language, you can go back to the main search. Couple other things. There's a search mode, and we have default or we have expert. So default will give you more results, and this is particularly true with multi-word searches. So if I do a search for smart bed does not connect, for instance. If I'm an expert mode, I get 2,600 results. If I were to go to a default mode, I'm going to get more, 78,000. So the expert mode just focuses that search a little bit better, gives you more relevant results. So as a tip, I would set it to expert mode unless for some reason you're just not getting, you're getting very few results and you want to broaden that search, then go to default mode. The other thing here is the sort order. So I've got my 2,600 results here. How do I want them sorted? It sorts by relevance by default. So what the expert search engine thinks matches your search criteria the best. If you're looking for the latest information on a particular topic, you can also search in order of newest or oldest. So latest, like if I want the latest information, I would say sort by newest. And that gives me the latest information that's been posted. You can also sort alphabetically or reverse alphabetically, descending. And you'll notice that my search results have different languages. I've got some Portuguese, English, Hungarian. And since I only speak English, those probably aren't going to help me. So if I want to only show search results in a specific language or specific languages, in this filter pane, the very top filter is languages. So I can drop that down and I can pick English. And so now I'll get only search results that are English. So just something to help narrow the search. The other thing is within an article. So I'm going to look up a robot here. And so this has robot information in it. I can also change the language within that article. So there's this globe at the top, and I can pick a different language if I want. Let's pick Spanish, for instance, and it will refresh that page in the Spanish language. So this is useful for a couple different reasons, right? If you've got customers that you're serving that have a different primary language, this can be helpful when you're sharing information with them as well. All right, let's go back to our main search page. So similar to a browser, just a web browser, there is this concept of bookmarks. Bookmarks are files, and so you would access your saved bookmarks with the star. So if let's let me look up another robot. Go to its page, and let's say I want to save that this page because I'll be accessing it frequently and I don't want to have to search for it every time. So I can add that robot to my bookmarks just by clicking the star. And I can simply add it as a bookmark in my list, or I can add it to a specific folder if I've created a folder. So this one happens to be a robot. I'm going to add it to my robot info folder. So then when I go to the bookmarks within Xpert, you can see I've only got a couple. I've got that robot info folder and I've got a link to some other product information. If I open that folder, you can see I've got a couple different links in there. So it just allows me to organize the information that I would access frequently. Now, one interesting thing about this is I can share that folder with a user, with a friend that has, an Xpert account. If I do that, what it does is it copies a URL to the clipboard. If I then send that URL to my friend, either by email, text, whatever means necessary, and he pastes that URL into his browser, it will open Xpert for him and open his subscription pages and put that folder in there. So now this is a link to my folder of bookmarks. So he sees the same things I do. And this is a strange situation since I'm subscribed to my own bookmark folder, but the concept is the same. So he has a subscription, I have this folder. If I go in and say, we don't need this KR50 in here anymore, I can delete that. Now my folder is updated. And if he goes to his subscriptions then, he no longer sees that either. So it's truly a link to my folder of bookmarks. It's not a copy. So it updates when I update mine. The other thing you can do is you can save searches. So if you had a search, and this is just a generic search, but if you wanted to save that search, you can click the Save Search button, and it would go to your saved searches. Okay. So the other main thing in the interface to Xpert is the filter pane. So we already talked about the languages filter. So we can filter by language. There are other filters. There are two types. One is this product, and the other one is information type. So the filters on product allow you to basically filter on a certain type of product. For instance, I want to see all data for high payload robots, right? So I could go in here and I can click just high payload robots, and that would give me a lot of information. I could refine that more if I know the exact family of robots I want to look for. So if I want to look for Quantec 2 only, then I can select the Quantec 2 filter, and that gives me results that would only include Quantec 2. So that's the type of product information. And the useful ones, the most useful ones are going to be robot, controller. Let me clear this filter. Mobile robotics for those products, linear units and positioners. So those are the most useful ones from a product perspective. And then under the information type, downloads is important. If you just want to search for just documentation, you can check that. You'll just get a list of all documentation. You can search within there if you wanted something specific. So that's what these filters do, and we'll use a couple of those in examples here coming up. Okay, so let's look at some product information. So One particular robot I like is the KUKA 300 R2700-2. I'm just going to search for it by text. I could use the filters to do that as well, but so it came up first in the list. This is the product information page. That's what I want to see. So I'll open that page, and this has a whole bunch of information here related to the product. So there's this vertical window, and there's a navigation pane for the data in this vertical window. And that includes, at the top, typically a picture. So that can be reassuring that, yep, that's what I expected to see. This is the data I want. Gives you a spare parts list. So you can, see a diagram of the robot or controller or whatever it is you're looking at. You've got some indicators of what spare parts can be replaced. And below that diagram is a spare parts list. And one of the nice things is if you hover over a spare part name or number in the list, it'll highlight that in the diagram. Just again, more reassurance, about what part you're looking at. So you've got the spare parts. You've also got links to work instructions. So if you need to exchange a motor, exchange the wrist, you can get access to those work instructions as well. So let's say you have to exchange the A2 motor. You can click on that work instruction link, and it will bring up a detailed page here, so you can see what that task entails. It gives you a list of the tools needed, the material needed. This particular work instruction is valid for multiple models of robots, so different article numbers for depending on the motor that goes with that robot. Information on tightening torques, safety, and then a procedure for actually doing the task. So all that information is there. If you go back to your product information page and you decide, okay, now I know what it's going to take to exchange that motor. I actually need to get a new motor. I can click on the article number or the name, and that will actually open up a window, an article on just the spare part package. That's what the SPP stands for, spare part package, for that motor. Again, a picture of it. Description, it tells me what parts are included, with that motor. For example, the motor itself, some mounting screws, O-ring, a washer, some grease. So that's good. The other thing this does is it has a little shopping cart with a link to my.KUKA, so a link to the marketplace. So if I click on that, it's going to open my.KUKA, take me to the page with the motor, and then if I need to buy that, I can buy that. So easy access to all the information for spare parts. Other information that's in here vertically, there's going to be maintenance information, gear oil types, oil quantities. There's going to be technical data. This is basic stuff also that is in the standard documentation. It's just here for quick access if you need to get to it. But there's also information in here that is not in the standard documentation. So for example, process forces. This is, if you've got a robot performing a process like machining or hemming or anything where it's going to be really pushing on, another object, or something else is going to be pushing on the robot, that's what we call process forces. And this tells you, how much each axis can handle. So you've got to make sure that, you're not going to exert excessive force on the robot. And then the other thing that's here is accuracy data. So this is also not published with the standard documentation, but if you purchase an absolute accurate calibrated robot, the pose and path accuracy are in here. And this is all according to ISO 9283. But you have access to that data from this website. And there's other information in here. And at the bottom as well, there's additional links, if you will, to things that may be of interest. So this robot has a lot of options available for it, right? So if you're wondering, what booster frame of different height, connection cable sets, energy supplies, links to all those components are in here. If you need more information, you just click on the link and follow it. Okay. So the other thing in the product information page that's very useful is the related content. So this related content area to the right, lots of information. If you just need a data sheet, you can open the data sheet to get that. An expert will grab that. You could then print it. Or download it. And all right, and then if it's okay, we'll wait for questions until the end. I think somebody raised their hand, but if it's okay, we'll save those for the end. Thanks. All right, so also in this related content, specifications, product presentations, if you need to present something to your end customers, if you're an integrator, that type of information there. There's documentation, so if you need the standard documents that go along with this, and those include all the technical information, maintenance, things like that. In the service information, so again, useful for plant maintenance groups. There's maintenance instructions here. You can go to the maintenance page, and this would give you a summary for that particular robot of what preventative maintenance needs to be done, diagram, maintenance interval table, as well as instructions for doing that maintenance. So if you need to do an oil change in axis 3, for instance, work instruction to actually do that work. And then also in that related content area is CAD data. So if you want to get CAD data, you can see that there's more than just the robot. So if I want the robot, the KR300 itself, there's booster frame, CAD data, energy supply data. So lots available there. Okay. So if you want to share this information with a friend, there's a couple different ways you can do that. You can hit the share link up here. And what this does is this creates a URL that you can give your friend, and he can put it in his browser. It'll take him right to that web page. Of course, he'll need access to Xpert, so he'll need an account as well. If you've got a friend that doesn't have access, you can print it to a PDF, for instance. So there's a print button up there, and just use a PDF printer to do that. Some of the articles can be downloaded. Okay. You can also search for, in addition to just hardware, you can search for software. For instance, if you want information on Ethernet IP, that's a software option. You can find it in the list. You can see you've got, with the metadata, you can see some different categories here. Here's one that says operating and programming instructions. Here's one that says product information. So I've used Xpert a lot. I know that this is the actual document If I just want to go to the product information page, I can click on that one. And then that document will be available here as well. So you can get access to the product information. You can find out, you know, what software this is compatible with. At the bottom, for instance, there says Ethernet IP 4.1 is an option 4, KSS 8.6. So it helps to understand the compatibility between the options and the system software. Okay, so let's use the filters a little bit. For instance, let's say I want to find the CAD data for that same robot that we found otherwise. So I want to find the CAD data for the KUKA, and I only want step files. So I can filter by robot. So I know the robot type that I'm looking for. It's a high payload, Quantec series, Quantec 2. And I just scroll down until I find the KUKA, put a check mark by him. So now I've got several results. I can also sort. So if I go back to my main filters, by information type, since CAD is a download, I can go into the CAD data and say, I only want step files, for instance. And there you can see I've narrowed my search, and I've just got, you know, booster frame. There's the robot itself, energy supply. So basically the same ones that you would have gotten to through the product pages, just another way to get there. Okay, so let's, I'm gonna clear those filters. Just click the X's up here. So let's do a different example. Let's say I have an older robot, I don't know, 10 or 12 years old, and the resolver to digital converter that's in the base of the robot has failed. So this is the board in the base of the robot, and I want to find out, you know, well, I want to get a replacement for it. So I can look at that part, and on it will be a label with an article number, and I read that, and it happens to be article number 200655. So I can search for that by article number within Xpert. So it comes up with 3 results. Relevance is what we're sorting by, so I'll choose the first one. And I want to verify that, yep, okay, yes, indeed, that is the article number I'm searching for. There's not much information here. It's pretty thin, actually. Just tells me what it is and no related content, but down here it says it has a successor. Okay, so what this implies is that this version of the board is discontinued and no longer made. But it has a successor board, so I can expand that and then go to this next part number, 246872. Okay, yes, I can see that's an RDC board. It says it's for KRC4 and KRC5. And then there's also a link here to my.KUKA. So if I need to buy that, I can just click the shopping cart, and it'll take me right to that product in the marketplace. So that's an example of a product that's been discontinued but has a replacement. So if the product is current that you're looking for, then you won't see a successor per se. All right, so one of the newer pieces of information that you can access now is the circuit diagrams. So this is for robot controller. So Xpert has all the circuit diagrams available by article number. So every controller cabinet has a label on it, and that label would include an article number. So in this example, 15003530, that's the article number or part number of the cabinet. So that cabinet has a specific drawing set associated with it. Older cabinets often begin with an 11 number. So it'd be 11. So you can just search for that within Expert. So 1500 3530. And it comes up with the circuit diagram. So it's the only search result. It's very specific. And you can then access the electrical drawings for that controller cabinet. And you can download those to a PDF. You can print them. You can share them with a friend still. Another way you can access, get to that is with each robot system that's delivered from KUKA, you'll get a packet of papers, and inside that packet of papers will be URLs for the different products included. So in this example, a KR50 robot, an energy supply from 1 to 3 with this stuff in it, empty from 3 to 6, the controller, KRC5 dual cab, and each of those, product names has a QR code next to it. So you can just scan that QR code and it'll take you right to the product information page for each of those items. So also in that packet of papers is going to be a circuit diagram in which you'll have a QR code for that as well. And you'll notice that, in addition to the QR code, you've got the URL right there. So all the information there to be able to access the data. Okay, so let me clear this search. So the next thing that might be a little interesting is if you're looking for new product information, is under the information type, we have this product category. And if you go into that and you click on the product introduction filter, these are basically presentations that have been given on newer KUKA products. And if you sort by, newest first, you'll see the latest ones that are posted. So good information there if you're just looking for new product information. Okay, so let's go through another scenario. Let's say we're doing some troubleshooting. So we've got a robot, we've got a controller, and we're getting this error. Error happens to be safe device, KUKA servo pack, error feedback signal 8. No idea what that means, but maybe Xpert can help. So with each error message that's posted on the pendant, there's an error number. In this case, the error number is 15105. So I can just search for that error number, and this is a KUKA system software error, so a KSS 15105. I can then click on that, that result, and it gives me some cause and possible remedy information here. So this particular case has 7 different possibilities. So if I want to see what each of one of those is, I can just click on it, and it'll take me to the a more detailed page. So it repeats the message, gives you possible causes. In this case, it may give you background information like this one. This one has a table of the safe IO that is relevant for this particular message. It can give you instructions on how to check it, and the recommended solution, which sometimes is a little generic, but to the point. So good information for troubleshooting there. Now, if we go back to our error message here, this one has a follow-up message. So this one is 15105, error feedback signal. The follow-up is 15106, acknowledge error feedback signal. So with KUKA, we'll often post a message while the error is present, and if the error situation goes away or clears by itself, that error will be hidden, and you would get a follow-up message, which is the acknowledge. So it could be the case that, hey, you got to the robot controller and all that's there is this 15106. So you type that into Xpert, and you would get to this page, which isn't very helpful at first glance, because it just says, hey, yep, there's the text of the message. I already saw that, but there's no cause remedy, but there is this original message link. So this then links you to the original message that would have been posted and gets you to some cause remedy information. Okay, so that was troubleshooting. Couple more things in the downloads area. So if you go to the downloads filter, a couple that I'd like to highlight. One is machine data. Basically, this is a list of catalogs that WorkVisual uses for the robots and the positioners, the linear units, things like that. So if you have an older version of WorkVisual and KUKA released a new robot and you've got that robot, odds are your WorkVisual is not going to have the catalog for that robot. So you can come to this site and you can download the latest robots catalog, sort by newest to get the latest on top. So that's one thing you can use there. The other thing that I'd like to point out is there are some sample projects within the downloads area, especially with respect to communication. So if I want an example on Ethernet IP with Rockwell, there's a sample project here for that. There's some example projects with MX Automation and Ethernet IP as well. So just be aware that there are samples as well. Okay. So Xpert does also support advanced search strings. So you can use keywords and an or for term searching. You can use parentheses to group them, complex expressions. To be honest, I've never had to use those. I can usually find what I'm looking for with the other methods, but just be aware that those are available. One that I do use occasionally is the quotation marks for the exact phrase search. Those can be useful just for when you really know the exact phrase you want to find. And then also, you can use question marks or asterisks as wildcards. Again, I personally don't have a need to use these, but they are available if that's something that would be helpful for you. A couple other search tips. What if you can't find a document that you know exists? So if you've got an older version of the document and you're searching using terms that you think make sense and you're just not finding it, you can pull the exact title of the document and search for that in the quotation marks. Sometimes that helps. Or you can pull an exact phrase out of an older document and search for that. That could help too, because with new revisions of documents, not all the content changes, just some of it. And the other thing is if you're looking for part information, most KUKA parts have an article number on them, and you can search by that article number. Here's a picture of an older motor tag, for instance, and you can see article number, and it's got this 0000115925. So you can search based on that article number. If it helps, you can use the component filter. So for instance, I search for that. I get several results. I can pick the component filter to narrow that down. One other thing is if you're an expert and you notice that, hey, maybe you think the information is not accurate or it's missing some information, or maybe you just can't find what you're looking for, there is a way to provide feedback and get a response on that. So especially if you're on an article, if you click the little mail envelope, that will open an email that's going to expert@kuka.com. It will include, the link to that article that you're currently looking at, and you can type in, whatever additional information you want the expert team to see, if it's missing specific information. So then you can send that, and they're pretty responsive. They'll usually get back to you within a day or two. So if you need urgent information, you can contact our focus center, but this is for providing feedback to our expert team. And then, if you do provide feedback and you want to see what the status is of your case, maybe you haven't gotten an email back, there's this My Support link. And if you've got open cases, this will show you them in a list, and you can check their status, reply, that type of thing. All right, and then the last thing I wanted to touch on was the my.kuka.com, and I just wanted to point out some of the similarities here between Xpert and MyKuka, because like I said, they do use the same data. So in the MyKuka website, you've got a marketplace drop-down list, and you'll see that you've got a similar list of products that you do in Xpert. Marketplace will be more focused on current products, whereas if you need older information, it's definitely all in Xpert. But you can find, the same type of information you're looking for in my.kuka, and you'll see that if you go to the, hey, I'm looking at this robot, for instance, and I can see that it's got, an overview, it's got detailed information, basic data. Honestly, it's a little less populated on MyKuka, but the download section, you'll find that these links, most of them are going to lead back to Xpert. So the two websites are tied tightly together with many links back and forth. All right, and that is the last of the information. So appreciate your attention. And now if there are questions.
Thank you, Michael, for that insightful presentation of KUKA Xpert database. Let's dive into the Q&A session hosted by my colleague, Austin.
Well, doesn't look like there's any questions in the chat box. We can just give it a minute. Let the questions fill up. Mike, do you have any of your contact information if maybe possibly anyone has any further questions that maybe wouldn't get a question here in the box?
Sure. I don't know if this is the right place to type it. There's my email address.
That'll work.
Mike.chafee@kuka.com.
Alrighty. Well, it looks like there's no questions. So if that's it, oh, here's a couple. How much the Xpert Pro cost annually?
That's the price is actually on my.kuka, but I think it's $840 a year, roughly.
Alrighty, and then the other question was, can you provide details on the subscription Xpert? So I'm sure that was similar to the last question.
Yeah, sounds like it. Yep. Let's see if I can bring up the Xpert on the marketplace. Okay, so $796 for KUKA Xpert Pro. And I believe if it's a university, there might be a discount on that as well.
Alrighty. And then he said, can you provide details on the subscription expert, not price, but actual content?
Yeah, so that was in one of the slides, what the content that's available.
Yep.
Get there. There we go. Yeah, so with the Pro, you get the, the solution database, so the troubleshooting, cause solution stuff, service work instructions. Those are the two big ones. System variables is just a, an extra document. And functional specs. Yeah, so the biggest ones are the work instructions and the case database.
Okay. Alrighty. Also to mention, this webinar will be live on our website and on our YouTube page just a few weeks after this one wraps up. I will also be sending out an email to all the attendees after this, just for a follow-up. And then one more question. Sometimes I get multiple results for the same error code searched in the search bar. How to identify which one I should be looking into? For example, KSS 00106.
Okay, let me do a search on that. So you're saying you get multiple? Okay. So I know what you mean. I've seen that before. I don't see it with this particular message, but I have seen it with other ones. And basically, in my experience, both are applicable. So I'll, when I'm troubleshooting, I'll actually look at the information in both results.
Alrighty, it looks like that's all the questions.
Industrial intelligence.